What is up, people? Welcome back to Blue Chip Prospect for another podcast. I thought that on this beautiful Friday, we could just go through, go on tankathon.com and just do a simulated mock draft. Just simulate the lottery and go from there. I have absolutely zero preparation, zero bullet points, zero notes. I have nothing. So it's gonna go, but I wanted to do one today because I felt like it, and I wanted to talk about hockey, and my wife doesn't want to hear me talk about hockey, so, so I'm gonna talk to myself through the microphone and try to release that today. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to release it today because that's a lot, recording the English one, then recording the French one, and then doing the work to release it. I don't know, we'll see. All right, but the way I'm gonna do that, because I have no notes, it's going to be a little bit on a slower pace than videos, obviously, but a little bit slower pace than usually. And I'm recording my screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing at the same time. I just have a second screen with a couple mock drafts on it so I can kind of have ideas of what people are thinking here. But I open Tankathon, obviously, to do the lottery simulation. I have Captain Lee, and I have Elite Prospect to have stats and depth chart and stuff like that. I have also a page of The Athletic to have access to the prospect pool very fast and easy without opening my own document, so you don't see everything that I do. And also have a document to write down the names and the selection that we're going to be choosing, because I don't want to have to choose the same person. I don't want to choose the same person 2 times, right? I don't want to make a mistake. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm just going to make sure that everything is recording, because last week I got caught by it, so that's why I started checking. So that's recording. So that is all good. So, yeah, let's go ahead and simulate that lottery. And, Wash, I'm happy for the Habs, but I hate this. No, why? Why Ottawa at number 1? I'm just going to open this thing, the curtains, because I want the sun. It's not as good for the sound. Might be a little bit more echo because I opened the curtains and they kind of absorb the sound in this room. But, I want the sun. So, all right. At number 1, Ottawa. Wash. Good for them. So, obviously, we're going to go here. And I'm just going to write it down. Ottawa. It's going to be Celebrini. They need a right shot D, but if you have the chance to draft Celebrini, what are you gonna do? You're gonna draft somebody else, or are you gonna move down? No, you're not gonna move down. He's gonna be the best player on the team. So yeah, just take Celebrini. And that is it. It's not more complicated than that for them. Why am I on the Ducks here? Just gonna go back here. All right. So, and at number 2, well, it's the Montreal Canadiens, and from there they have a lot of choice. Too much choice, probably. I did not expect the Habs to move up, so I didn't really think this through. The thing is, we have a lot of defense. So a player like, obviously not Dickinson, because the left side is already loaded. And the right side, we have players like Reinbacher. We have players like Mailloux coming up. So probably not defenseman, even though I don't think we have a defenseman of as good or with a ceiling that's as high as Lev Shunov, but one way or another, it's not going to work. So what are we going to do? Are we going to take a big forward like Kaden Lindstrom? Are we going to go with the most dynamic player possible and go with the Ivan Demidov? If it's me, at number 2, I go with Demidov. It's that simple. So if you have the chance to draft Demidov, you go with Demidov. I don't know about the Habs, what they think about that. I don't know if they have would they move back? Maybe they would move back. Maybe there's San Jose or Chicago that would like to have a big right shot defenseman. Probably even Anaheim would like to have a big right shot defenseman. So maybe the Habs would move back. But I don't know. And I don't want to do those things. I just want to keep the order the way it is. So the Habs, I go with Demidov. I choose. It's my mock draft. So there you go. Montreal. Demidov. Oops. I don't see my keyboard, so I'm all a little bit all over the place here. Montreal, Demidov. I will be very happy with that. I doubt that's the player that they draft, but I don't know. Like, I'm hesitating between a player like Caden Lindstrom because they want the size and they want to compete, but at the same time, the ceiling of Demidov is just so much higher. Like, Lindstrom is a good player. He has a hard shot. He skates well. He's big, but I don't think he's a number 2 type of player. I really don't think so. But anyways, my mock draft, Demidov, right? So I would be happy. I'd be jumping in my house if that was the case. At number 3, we have San Jose. And San Jose, like I was saying last week in the what was the podcast? It was the rebuilding, looking at the rebuilds. They need defense. So I think right there you just go with the best defenseman on your board. Is that Dickinson? Is that Lev Shunov? Is that, I don't know, Parek? I have no clue who they prefer. I think that if you want a little bit of everything, like Lev Shunov have not the same amount of offense as, let's say, Parek, but doesn't have the same defense as Dickinson, but he's like an in-between. So I think they go with Dickinson. Also because he's a right shot. He's a big right shot. He's 6'2". He's a right shot. Parek is a right shot, but he's on the smaller side. Dickinson is on the left side. And yeah, I think, Lev Shunov. It is Lev Shunov. That's the way it is. All right, so San Jose, we go with Lev Shunov. There you go. Oops, not the right way to do that. That was good. So at number 4, Chicago, they moved down 2 spots. Good for them. Who would they go at that point? Like, they probably need some work on defense, but I think at number 4, if they get to choose between a defenseman and a player like Caden Lindstrom, who gets to come into their top 6 in the future and be that big boy that plays with their small boys, I think it's Lindstrom. I think there's no other way around it, because even though you have a player like Dickinson that you could fit in your top 4 in the future, maybe even first line, I don't know if Korchinski ends up being the first line defenseman or it would be Dickinson who's being the first line defenseman, but I think that you can't pass on Lindstrom when they have a lot of forwards, but a lot of their forwards are small players. Like Bedard is like 5'9" or something like that. I think Moore is a bit bigger. It's like 6 foot, but still 6 foot is under average in the NHL. Nazar is small, so everybody's small. A player like Ken Lindstrom would really come and help that forward group have a little bit more, a little bit more grit, a little bit more physicality in them. So at number 4 we have Chicago, and we put Lindstrom. There you go. No, not like that. Like that. At number 5, we have Anaheim. And Anaheim, they needed that Lev Shunov pick. And San Jose took it, because I think the thing is that they probably want a right shot defenseman. And right now, in the right shot defenseman, like if we go on Elite Prospect, can we just do like defense? Yeah. No, not goalie. No. I didn't want to do that, I promise. Just wait a second. I'm going to repair the mistake that I made. So let's say we look at the top 10. There's Ziv Buyam, but that's a left shot. Anton Silayev's a left shot. Sam Dickinson's a left shot. Zayn Parek is a right shot, but they already have Olin Zellweger, who's very good offensively. And they already have Mintyukov, who's very good offensively. So I thought that like a player like Lev Shunov would have been the perfect high ceiling defensively, high ceiling offensively, big guy who can skate. Would have been perfect, but he's not available. So, and I'm sure they're not going to take another left shot defenseman. They really don't need another left shot defenseman. So I'm going to give them Zayn Parek, because they need that right shot. And that's a hell of a replacement for Drysdale. So it's probably a better player than Drysdale ever was or ever will be. So I think that's just perfect. It's not perfect, but it's close to perfect. So Anaheim here, Parek. Is the H after or before? I never remember. I think it's after. Yeah, I think so. So Number 5 is done. Number 6, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're already loaded at the NHL level, like I was saying last week. Yeah, they're not as loaded in their pipeline. I'm just gonna open my document on the other screen. My document from last week. Whoops, didn't press the right thing. Okay, it's right there. I'm gonna click on Columbus. You're not gonna see that because that's on the screen behind the screen that I'm recording, so you're not gonna see that part. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. So at the NHL level, they already have like Johnny Gaudreau, Boone Jenner, Patrick Laine if he ever comes back, Adam Fantilli, Kirill Marchenko, Kent Johnson. And at defense, they have Zach Werenski, Severson, Provorov, Yurchek. So they're already loaded at the NHL level, but their prospect at forward, they have Dumais, Brinley, Delbel Belouz, Pinelli maybe, Whitelaw maybe. And at defense, Matichuk, Kuleman, Zvozil, and Strathman. So I think in their case, you just take the best player available. Because why not, right? Just gonna open another thing here. If I go here on Columbus. Okay. Sorry if I'm thinking a little bit. Alright, so let's come back here. Who's the best player available? Who do we have? Alright, so who's the best player available at that point? Do they go with a big D like Sam Dickinson? Do they take a Berkeley Catton? Do they take a center to go behind Fantilli? Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And there's a really good center. Like, I think Berkeley Catton is a center. I know there's people who think he's not necessarily a great skater for some reason. I think he's a fantastic skater. I think he's also very good in the face-off in the WHL. So I see him as a center. I see him as a player who's capable to play center once he worked on his body a little bit and he had some strength to his body, right? So yeah, I think a player like Konsta Elenius kind of fits perfectly here, right? Because I don't think maybe the ceiling is not as high, and even then he's really, really good. He's not an impressive player in the way that he plays, but he's just so smart and he's skilled, he's good, he skates well. He's just not the biggest, but they have Adam Fantilli, who's going to be their first line center, who's the big guy, who's going to be playing against the top defensive line on the other side. So yeah, you know what? I'm putting Elenius there because it just makes a lot of sense. So Columbus, Elenius. And I know Elenius has that like reputation of being like the boring pick in the top 10 or something like that. And I, you know what? I kind of thought that until a couple months ago. And I think he's just really good. And his stats are really, really good. Like, we're going to do a little something. And that's another thing I'm not sure if I have the right to do because those are the premium filters. But if I go on Konsta Helenius here, okay? I'm going to open that. And then we go in Liga right here. Yeah, amazing playoff. And then we go draft eligible like that. Put that up. And then we go all-time season. And we point per game. Where is Konsta Elenius? Nowhere to be seen. He's right there. Number 14. Error. So a little bit over players like Anton Lundell. A little bit under players like Patrick Laine. Under Capo Caco, Alexander Barkov, and stuff like that. But he's a much more dynamic player than Capo Caco, that's for sure. Not as dynamic as Patrick Laine. Doesn't have the same type of shot, the same type of build also. So yeah, all this to say that I think that it makes a lot of sense to take Konsta Elenius when you're already loaded a little bit everywhere, but you will probably need that second line center in the future, and Konsta Elenius is like as close as it gets to a sure shot second line center, maybe even more, we don't know, but I think he's really good. So Konsta, did I write it? Yeah, I did. Good. Arizona, well, Utah. Do you say Utah or you say Utah? Utah. Anyways, for Arizona / Utah, who they're gonna pick? I don't know. I have no clue what's available. Now I'm just gonna open one of the mock draft here to see what people think. This guy here, defense. Why it's not written? Where is Utah? Where is Utah? I'm looking for Utah, but it's still Arizona. Okay, I understand. Anyways, doesn't matter. So, who I think they will pick? Do they go offense? I think they already have a pretty stacked offense. Like if I go in my document from last week and I click Arizona. In the NHL, they already have Clayton Keller, they already have Nick Schmaltz, Logan Cooley, Dylan Ginter, Matthias Maccelli, Lawson Cruz. And defensively, they have Sean Dursey and JJ Moser. And outside of that, at the defensive prospect, they have Dmitry Simashev, which I really like. Artem Dudos, Lamoureuse, great. Victor Soderstrom, So, and the prospect, in the forward prospect, Josh Doan, Akurati, Connor Geeky, Daniel Booth, Sam Lipkin. So, yeah, I think defensively, they should go with defense at that point. And because the thing is, you should pick the best player available most of the time, right? But there's that giant tier. The way it goes for me is like there's Celebrini at number 1. Then there's Demidov at number 2, who both have their own tiers. And after that, there's like a tier that goes to number 13 or number 14 almost. Obviously, I think a player like, Caden Lindstrom is more likely to be a great player at the NHL level than, let's say, Liam Greentree. But they're still in the same type of tier, if you want, for me, at least. So, what was I saying? I was talking about Arizona, and Arizona, they would pick defense. I think they would go with defense. So if we look at here, who's available at defense to them, and they could go with Dickinson. I think I didn't put Dickinson down. Yep, no Dickinson down. I think that's what it's gonna be, huh? Silayev or Buyam. Do they want? Maybe they want to bring a little bit more offense because they took Simashev last year, who's likely to not be a strong offensive player, a guy that will thrive defensively, that will thrive on the transition and on the breakout with his skating and his overall skills, but not a guy that's really breaking down defensive structures from the blue line in, right? He's not the best handler. Doesn't have the greatest vision, and his plays don't often result in points. So I think he's not going to be a major contributor either on the power play or at 5v5 in terms of points. So I think like a player like either Dickinson or Buyam makes a lot more sense than Anton Silayev. Anton Silayev it's like a repeat of Simashev, but Simashev I think is better than Anton Silayev anyway. So yeah, Ziv Buyam makes sense because that's going to bring some offense. He's like that, that Morgan Riley type of defenseman if you want. So here, Utah. And we're going to put down, who did I just say? Buyam. All right, Buyam. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That would be good for them. That would be good. They have a good top 6. And then you add Simashev and you bring Buyam into that mix. Not as big, but he's strong defensively, strong offensively. His production is off the charts in the NCAA. So yeah, I mean, why not? All right, he has a chance to be one of the. He has a chance to be the best defenseman in this draft. Like we don't know that. My guess is Dickinson, followed by Levshunov, at least for now. But like, there's a chance Buyam is the best defenseman in this draft. There's a chance Parek is the best defenseman in this draft. There's a chance Yakimchuk is the best defenseman in this draft. So it's, yeah. All right. Oh, maybe they could take Yakimchuk. I don't think anybody takes Yakimchuk before Buyam, right? That's a good question. They could have like a Yakimchuk and Silayev, not Silayev, Simashev on the first pair, like or in the top 4. That's a hell of a combination. You know what? I'm gonna keep Ziv Buyam because I know that for most people, Ziv Buyam is ranked ahead of Yakemchuk. Even if we take that's elite prospect ranking, right, in April. So even if we take them, he's ranked at number 18 and Ziv Buyam's at number 10. So we're gonna go with the consensus. Even if I click on the consolidated here, I'm pretty sure most people still have Yakemchuk pretty low. So if we try to find Yakemchuk here, Yakemchuk, he's 16 and Buyam is 9 on the consolidated ranking. So Buyam. All right, we go with Buyam. I already wrote it. Yeah. Okay. So that is it for Utah. Then Seattle. What Seattle needs? Like defense maybe. What is their prospect pool look like? It's in my head I don't have it. Let's find it here. Is it higher than that? I don't think so. No. Seattle. See more. Seattle. Shane Wright is doing very good. Carson Rekhoff is doing very good. Yarker Ferkis. David Goyette. Okay. Edward Shala. Riker Evans is really good. And I think he even played in the NHL this year, but he was really good last year. Not in the NHL, obviously. But if you go Riker Evans. What a name. Riker Evans. Yeah, exactly. He played in the NHL, 36 games, 9 points, and he played for the Firebirds, 15 points in 25 games, but he's just very, very good. So, yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about him, though. All right, so I think they probably need defense more than offense. Their both top prospect are offense, but, yeah, really, I think they can take pretty much anything. It's not really a problem. So, am I on elite prospect ranking? So who would they go with? If they go defense, they could go with a player like Anton Salayev. They could go with a player like did I even put down Dickinson yet? I didn't even put Dickinson yet down. Oh, so yeah, so if I didn't put Dickinson down, why I put Buyam here? Because of the offense? You know what? Let me change that. I go back on my decision and I put Dickinson. Because, I mean, if you can choose between Dickinson and Buyam, do you take Buyam? I don't think so. I won't. I mean, it's not impossible he ends up the better player, but I mean, if Dickinson's available, I take Dickinson. So I put Dickinson down for them. That would be a hell of a left side. All right, so we were talking about Seattle, right? Yeah, Seattle, we said maybe defense or maybe offense. If we take a look at the team in general and we go, Seattle Kraken here, and we look at the stats. Who was good? Who wasn't good? No, I want the stats, not the roster. Yeah, so Jared McCann. So, Matty Berniers. Wow, huh? What a drop. Like a year ago, everybody was talking about him like the next big thing, and now he's like 37 points. I think he's going to be much better than that anyway. He's not a 37-point kind of guy, but what a rough year for him. Vince Dunn has been really good. Jeremy McCann. All right, so I think they could take pretty much anything. So just best player available for them. And in that case, I think I would go with Berkeley Catton. Yeah, Berkeley Catton it is. So, Seattle. Put that down. Berkeley Catton. That is done. Good pick by Seattle. Like this, they're going to have a little bit more offense. Not a little bit more offense because they already have Shane Wright coming up, but they can load up the offense. They already have Riker Evans coming up. Yeah, I think that's a good pick. Unless they really need defense. Did I miss something? Yeah, fair guess. Yeah, they actually really need defense, huh? When you look at and what was the roster like defensively? If we take all position, we just take defense, man. Yes, because they already have Vince Dunn, but that's all they have. Everything else is executive decision again. Taking back Catton, and I'm giving him back a defenseman, and the defenseman we're gonna give them is going to be either Salayev or Buyam or Yakimchuk, and it's gonna be they have. For now, they have Riker Evans. They also have the guy that was good. We're going to give them Salayev. Yeah, Salayev. So they can build on a strong defense. Salayev makes a lot of sense. And that would be a great pick. Like, he's not my favorite at all, Salayev, because he's a little bit all over the place as a player. But he has such a long runway because the physical tools. He's such an amazing athlete with a giant reach. That guy, I mean, he skates like the wind. He's like 6'6" or 6'7" or something like that. He's capable of making plays. It just didn't really work, but he's playing in the KHL at 18 and 17 years old. The guy's gonna be a beast, and if he doesn't work out offensively and doesn't like go to, let's say, 40 points, and he's more like a 25, 30, 35 point guy, he's still gonna be a top defender in the NHL. Like, he's gonna be right up there at the top of the NHL in terms of defense. With a skating like that, a reach like that, a body like that, like that guy's gonna be a beast. So that's a really strong foundation to build your team on, because when you already have Riker Evans and you have Salayev that you can add to their offensive defenseman, Vince Dunn, it looks good. Looks really good. All right. Too bad for Catton. Next one, Calgary. And now what did they do? Like, I think if they can have Tijigin at that point with everybody that's gone, like we have Celebrini that's gone, Demidov, Levshunov, Lindstrom, Perek, Elenius, Dickinson, Salayev, that's all gone. They don't have like a specific need, in my opinion. I think like Calgary, they can pretty much just go with best available. And if we take a look at what's up here, just wait a second. Usually prospects are always slow. Huh? It could be Tijigin, it could be Berkeley Catton. They could go with a defenseman like Zeev Buyam, Cole Iserman, Liam Greentree, Trevor Connolly. Yeah, it has to be Ginla at that point, because it's not like there's a giant difference between a player like Tijigin, Berkeley Catton, or Cole Iserman. I think Cole Iserman is by far the best scorer in there, but Berkeley Catton is a more complete player. Tijigin is just breaking everything. He was really good in the season, got so much better throughout the season. Went in a playoff, he was amazing. And yesterday I was watching the game of Canada versus Sweden, and I don't even know how many points he had. I don't even know if he had points, probably, but he was like everywhere in the ice. Every dangerous plays that you saw, it was either like from him, either from Iginla, or it was from McKenna or Porter Morton. So yeah, I think no choice. We keep the how do you say that, the legacy going, something like that. Anyway, Calgary, we put down Iginla. What a pick! I know there's a lot of people who have him like close to their top 5 or something like that. Like, I think he's getting a little bit overrated right now. As we move on closer to the draft, like he was underrated. Now he's a little bit like overrated. I think somewhere in between is perfect, and I think a place like 8 or 9 or 10 is like the right spot to get a player like him. Like, he's not the biggest, but he's big enough. He competes. He has great shot. He skates well. He's not like an amazing skater or anything like that, but he skates well for his size. But for his size, he's 6 foot or 5'11" or something like that, according to NHL Central. Outside of that, like I said, great shot and great hands in traffic. He can play through contact, which Catton can't really do. So yeah, Iginla, really good pick. Love him. And then if we jump to the next one, we have New Jersey. What are they doing in the top 10? Why are they there? They're already loaded everywhere. Right, we're going to go here. I'm going to go New Jersey Devils. Yeah, so on defense, Kevin Ball, Dougie Hamilton's coming back at some point. What's injury? All right, Luke Hughes, John Marino, Simon Nemeth, Siegenthaler. Then if we go in stats, Jesper Bratt, Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Timo Meier. Man, Dawson Mercer didn't have a great season for some reason. Has 20 goals but 33 points. Yeah, that team is loaded everywhere. Do they have a prospect pool at all? Like I said, out of the top of my mind, I can't do anything. I need either my documents or a page to tell me something about it. Is it probably not down there? All at the NHL level. Let's go down the list and find New Jersey, New York, Washington, Dallas, New Jersey Devils, number 22 according to Scott Wheeler. Simon in the NHL. Seamus Casey was really good this season, and I like his aggressivity. Gritzuk. Okay. I mean, very bad skater though. Graham Clark, Nico Dasso. Yeah, okay, that prospect pool is not great. Everybody's at the NHL level, I guess, because everything else, except Seamus Casey. I think Seamus Casey is a good player, but he's a small player, but he's aggressive. So there's that. I think they just go best player available because they don't have specific needs. They're loaded at the NHL level with young players. So who's the best player available at that point? Do they go with another defenseman? I feel like their defense is so loaded. Like, if we go back to roster, right here, defense, like Siegenthaler, 26 years old, Simon Nemeth, 20 years old, John Marino, 26 years old, Luke Hughes, 20 years old, Dougie Hamilton, 30 years old. Like, they need another one, but I'd probably go with a forward. Yeah, I'd go with a forward, I think. So let's find the next best forward, and that next best forward is probably Berkeley Catton. But I will not give them Berkeley Catton. I will give them Cole Eiserman, because that makes sense. Because he's a little bit on the bigger side. He can play through contact easily, and at number 10, he deserves a spot. But for me, he's higher than number 10 anyway. But yeah, okay. I don't need to explain myself. That's the way it is. New Jersey. Eiserman. I'm just joking. Eiserman. Jeez. That was not easy. Yeah, so a great goal scorer for them to play with their top playmakers. A guy that has good hands that can make anything out of any puck. I think it's a good pick, actually. It's a really good pick. Man, you get to have Luke Hughes and Nemeth on defense on your pipeline when you already have Dougie Hamilton and Siegenthaler and player like that. And then you also have on offense, you already have Jesper Bratt, you already have Nico Hischier, you already have Jack Hughes, Dawson Mercer, Timo Meier, and then you also have Alexander Holtz, who's coming up. And then you get to add a player like Eiserman. Like, maybe you can move Alexander Holtz for something that you specifically need because he didn't live up to your expectations and like that. And 28 points, 16 goals. I mean, they want to compete, so they're not gonna get rid of their player that are up and coming, right? Yeah, Eiserman it is. Unless they would want a centerman, and they would bet on a player like Catton to be a centerman. But I like Eiserman. So I'm keeping Eiserman. I'm not changing it. All right. So next one, Buffalo. They always take just the best player that's there. So just take the best player that's there, and they're loaded on the left side. I think Dahlin plays right side. The couple match I saw him, I think he was on the right side. So are they like playing with Powers on the left, Dahlin on the right, and what's the name of the new guy? What's his name? Bowen Byram on the left, Samuelson on the right. Jeez, that top four, huh? Whew, that's dangerous. What do they go with? Just give me an idea here. Gonna look. Tankotan. We are Buffalo. Who are they gonna pick? Zeev Booyah maybe? Or I think maybe Burke. No, they're not gonna take Berkeley Captain when they already took a player like what's his name? Zach Benson from last year. Like approximately the same size. I think Benson is probably a little bit stronger than Catton is, but Catton is a much better skater than Benson ever was or ever will be. But it's too much of the same type of player. I think, man. Yeah, man, they could fit a player like, I think they're the perfect team to fit a player like Liam Greentree or Brensik Nygaard. Yeah, man, they're perfect for that. Brensik Nygaard is the guy for Buffalo. Yup, that's what it is. Buffalo. Just meant B. Nygaard or Nugard. However you say that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know he's not a sexy pick. Yeah, I know that, and I know that if there's Buffalo fans listening to that, they'll be like, "There's no way we're gonna be picking Brensik Nygaard at number 11." And I think it's a great pick. Like, I know he's always described as this future, like middle six, two-way player, but the guy is good. The guy is a shooter. The guy can score. The guy makes plays. He doesn't make the complicated play. He plays through the small plays and he plays off his teammate. So I think like the team is already loaded with talent. It's already loaded with players that can make things happen with JJ Peterka or Dylan Cousin or Thompson is a bit like Thompson is a little bit like Brensik Nygaard in the sense that no, that's not true. Now he makes things happen on his own. He's a driver. Yeah. Anyway, Brensik Nygaard, I think it's perfect because he has size, he works hard, he's a competitor, and that team needs players that are competitive. I don't think they want to have another small player. And you could get like either Liam Greentree or Brensik Nygaard. Greentree is probably the better player, but Greentree has issues with his skating that we don't know if it's going to be fixed or not. So Brensik Nygaard it is. Right, so I wrote it already. Yeah, and that's a good pick, man. Yeah, for the longest time this season, I kept telling myself, or I even joke sometime on Reddit that watch the Avs drafting Brensik Nygaard by the time that we were like placed at 7th or 8th or 9th, and not when we finished the year at number 5. Like I was like, I watched the Avs take Brensik Nygaard, and I was not happy with that. But the more I've watched him and the more I like him. Like there's not a lot of impressive thing about him. Like the way he competes and the way he can shoot the puck and play off his teammate with small little plays and get into position is an amazing skills for him. It's an amazing skill for him. It's not like nothing is elite, but he's really good. He's like that player that have everything that's average or a little bit above average, but can make so many things happen. So he's the type of guy that I wouldn't mind the Habs like getting a pick in the mid, like I don't know, mid-teens or something like that, and take that guy because he's the guy that's gonna help you win when it gets tighter, when there's no more space, no more time, and there's no more fluffy plays that can be made. He's the type of guy that's gonna be there and is gonna score important goals for you. So yeah, he's my Arturi Lekonen of this year. All right, so where were we? We just did Buffalo. Yeah, exactly. I was talking about Brensik Nygaard. So Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, I know I forgot them in my podcast last week about the rebuilds. I forgot them. But after the draft, at some point in the summer, I will do podcasts for like the prospect pool of every team. At least that's the plan. But they're going to be done through podcasts and not through videos because it's so complicated to make a video for every prospect pool. It's basically impossible to make in a reasonable amount of time. At least not the way I do it, so I can't do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do it through podcasts, and I'm gonna be talking about the Flyers. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I forgot them, but they're doing good. So where were we? Philadelphia, and what's their need? What would be the need of Philadelphia? I think they need a little bit of anything, right? But like if we go take a look at the roster here, and we write Philadelphia. All right, so at the NHL level, obviously now they have Jamie Drysdale, Rasmus Ristolainen, Cam York. That is two good defensemen. Like Jamie Drysdale and Cam York are good defensemen, but they're both 5'11". So are you gonna pick another player like let's say Bouillon? I don't think you can do that. You're gonna have like three defensemen that are 5'11" to 6 foot. That's a bit. I wouldn't do it. That's for sure. But I think they are prime spot for a player like Carter Yakimchuk or something like that. I know he's lower in the ranking, but I think that's what I would do. Or you can give them a player like maybe Green Tree. Even Connolly could be in there because he's a great player. What do we do? I need your help. I think, look at this. No Bouillon. We forget that. Everybody here was big, right? Demidov, Levchinov, Barakin, Lakatin, Sington, Silayev. There's just Bouillon left. This one is big, this one is big, and this one is big. So, Connolly, Green Tree, or Yakimchuk. What do we do? I think either Connolly or Yakimchuk, and I think that I'm going to go with Yakimchuk. Yup. So like this, they can build that defense with a big guy that plays physically, sometimes a little bit too physically. So, Philly, is that how you write Philly? Or is it the other way around? I don't know. Philly, and we put Yakimchuk down, and man, fans, I don't know if fans of Philly are going to be happy with that, but to me, he's a great pick. I love that guy. He's extremely fun to watch. You know what you're getting. He's one of the oldest player in the draft, a bit like Lev Shunov's on the older side. You know what you're getting. So there's less runway, but learning to defend is something that every defenseman has to do once they reach the NHL or once they reach the AHL. Like, there's a reason why players like are picked first overall, like Owen Powers or even Dallin, like, they're not great defenders at their first year. It's normal. That's the way it is. You play against players that are big, that are fast, that are extremely skilled, with coaches that are really good at drawing scheme and just making things happen. So, like, it's hard to learn. And then every system are different. Some are easier, some are more complicated. So, I don't think the defense is that much of a problem. I think it's going to be probably average at the NHL level, but he's a guy that's going to be able to be physical, is a guy that can play the offense as good as anybody else in this draft in terms of defensemen, obviously. So, yeah, man, I would be excited to get the Yakimchuk. I would be very happy to get that guy. So, I don't know if you guys agree or not, and I think it's the way around, huh? They kind of bug me. Phil. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. All right, good. Good. So Philadelphia, that is done. Minnesota, what do they need? Let's go open their page here. Let's go on Minnesota Wild. At the NHL level, they have not much. Well, defense, obviously Brock Faber, who's just amazing. Jared Spurgeon, who's injured. Is it back? Yeah. So Spurgeon, but he's tiny. At offense, they have Boldy, Ereksenek, Kaprizov, Marco Rossi. I think he did good this season, right? Just want to make sure of what I'm saying. 40 points, 21 goal. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not as good as I thought he did, but Yeah. And then Liam Ogren, Zuccarello. So yeah, overall they don't have a bad team. They just don't have a great team. But I think if I was them, I would probably go with defense. And man, there's a guy called Buyam that's available to them. That's falling at number 13. Jeez, what are the chances this happen? But just right now, right there, I'm gonna put it down. Minnesota, is it 2S at Soda? Or is it 1S? Minnesota. Alright, Minnesota. And we give them Booyam. And what a pick. Man, that's what I'm telling you, huh? We're at number 13 and all those pick. And I know, except for Buffalo fans who are getting Nygaard and won't be excited about that. Doesn't matter. I think it's a great pick. But what I'm saying is we're at number 13 right now, and every single one of those players are great players. Like, it's the first half of this draft is so deep, it's incredible, because there's players that can be added to that list. Like, it doesn't stop there. There's a lot of great players left on the list. Like, I don't know, it's a fantastic draft. Like, it's not like last year there was more superstar talent at the top, because obviously if you take Adam Fantilli and Leo Carson and Bedard, like that was a trio like we never get, right? And then you had players like Will Smith, who broke records, or Perrault and stuff like that. So there was a lot of good players, but it was mostly the top three that was phenomenal. This year is just, it's just so deep with good players to like number 13, 14, 15, 16. It goes deep, but once it's dropped, it drops. there's gems later, but once it drops, it really drops. Anyways, we were talking about who? I got lost a little bit. We were talking about not Minnesota. Just pick from Minnesota, no? Yeah, we picked Booyam from Minnesota. So at number 14, it's San Jose. Is it Pittsburgh or San Jose? What is the condition on the Pittsburgh? Let's go here. Let's find Pittsburgh on the pick that they. Condition. Let's click the condition. Oops. What happened? Okay, it's only top 10 protected. So since it's 14, unless they win in the lottery, then it is being sent to San Jose. They don't get to choose anything. All right, that makes a lot of sense. So San Jose, well, they can pick anything. Like, they're building a really great prospect pool, but they have nothing at the NHL level. So they need so much that they just take best player available at that point. And who is that best player available? Like, now they're all gone, right? All those players are gone. Did I pick Catton for somebody? I didn't pick Catton yet. Yeah, okay, so Catton is not gone. That's what I thought. Okay, cool. Well, you know where I'm going with this. Number 14, you get to have a player like Catton. He's on the smaller side. I feel in terms of skills, he's a top 10 guy. But the thing is, because he's small and because we don't know if he's gonna get that much bigger or that much stronger, and the thing is that his game needs strength, because he's not a guy that plays on the outside of the ice. He's applied as a guy that shoots always from the middle, and one of the reasons why he scored over 50 goals is that most of his goals are somewhere in the middle of the ice, or are somewhere like close to the net, something like that. But in the NHL, it's not the same as the WHL, right? You need to be stronger. You got to be able to play through contact, and even though he's that top 10 type of player, he's a guy that might need a little bit of time to get there, and maybe can't get there. So I think Catton at number 14 is something that might happen. I'm not sure if he's gonna slip out of the top 10, but a bit like Zach Benson last year. Everybody knew he was a top 7, top 6 type of pick, but most people knew that he was also going to get out the top 10 because he was not a great skater and he was small. Now, the other one is a great skater, but he's not strong at all and he can get pushed very easily. So, yeah, number 14, Catton. That's fantastic pick. Again, another fantastic pick. San Jose, Catton. Just write it down. San Jose. Berkeley, Catton. 2 T's. Man, they would be loaded. That would be great for them. That would be a hell of a pick. All right, let's keep this going. There's only 2 left, right? Yeah, Detroit. Pretty simple. They're going to take the most boring pick they possibly could. I'm just joking. It's not true. They're building a good team. Who's available to them? They have Greentree. They have Koli. Look, they should take Koli. To me, like, I see Koli as the player that should go there because he's a dynamic talent. He's a guy I have him in my top 5 right now because he's that good. But like Yzerman, they didn't pick. Who was it? Was it Dak that they didn't pick because, or like in the interview, he asked him if he smoked weed, and because he smoked weed a couple times, he said he didn't pick him. Or anyway, I heard a story like that. But anyways, for sure, Yzerman is not taking Trevor Connolly. If there's any doubt that he's a little bit cuckoo in his head, all right, absolutely not. So forget Trevor Connolly. That's not cool for Detroit because he's amazing. Then I would go probably with a player like maybe Liam Greentree or Igor Chernyshov. There's no more defensemen, I think. I think they're all picked, right? At least the very good one. Boyum, Yakimchuk, Silayev, Dickinson, Perek, and Levshunov. Yeah, so all the very good one are picked. When I look at this, like I said, I would take Connolly for sure, but I can't do that to them. So it's either Beckett Seneca, because that guy is just he's like rocketing himself up the list, because that guy is really good with his hands. He's a good skater. He's big. It's just the production wasn't there as much. But in the playoff, he was really good. I think he had like 15 points in 10 games, something like that. If I click on him, let's just go see, so I don't say all kinds of stuff that it isn't true. Yeah, exactly. 15 points in 10 games in the playoffs, so he did really well. Yeah, Beckett Seneca, that would be a good pick. Or Liam Greentree, but Liam Greentree is a bit there's a risk with his game. That's the thing. There's a risk with his game. Andrew Basha is not on the big side. Chernyshov, I think it's like a guy like, I think Seneca or Chernyshov are the right pick. And do they like Russian players? Or they don't like Russian players? Let's go see Detroit Red Wings. If we look at the little flags, okay, they don't have a single Russian player. What about their prospect pool? If we go here, is Detroit high in the prospect pool? Detroit. Simon Edmondson, Axel Sandin Pelika, Marco Kasper, Nate Danielson, Sebastian Kosa, Trey Augustine, Carter Mazer, William Villander, Pochelnikov. They have 1 in the prospect pool and 0 on the team, I think. Like, I'm talking out the top of my head, so forgive me if I make mistakes. Every time that I start doing a podcast and talking in the microphone, my head just erase everything from my memory for some reason. I can speak with people and have everything in my head and remember everything, but when I speak to myself in a microphone, I become dumb. Alright, so I need to look up everything, but at the same time, I don't want to bore you too much and just spend 10 minutes to look through things the whole time of the podcast. So I'm gonna assume that from here, from the little flags on Elite Prospect, there is no Russian player in the on the team, and there's like 1 Russian player or something like that in the prospect pool. So I guess they don't like Russian player. Very simple. So who is it gonna be? It's not going to be Chernyshov. It's gonna be who's the other guy? Beckett Seneca. So yup. Detroit 313. Beckett. Seneca. Love that guy. I hope he's a guy that falls and that we can pick later in the draft, but it's impossible. It's impossible that a guy that is now like, I think he's like 6'3" now, something like that skates really well, that has crazy hands, that did well in the playoff. It's impossible, that guy. I think honestly, I think he's going to be picked before number 15. It's just the way this mock draft is falling down. He's at number 15, but I think he's going to be picked before number 15 because the potential is really there. And at number 16, who's that? St. Louis. And St. Louis, well, they are nothing special. They pick anything, right? They're not scared of anything. Who would they want? Would they want like a defenseman, maybe? Let me just check something. Let's go down. All right. So, what did they want? What do we have left? Would it be a guy like, I don't know, Adam Jiricek maybe, or what's the name of that guy? Charlie Illick. That could be a good pick. What's the prospect pool looks like? Let's go see that. Prospect pool. Sorry if you hear sound in the back. My dog is just very happy that my wife is coming back home, so he's screaming his head off. My wife usually screams her head off with him, so if you hear sound that sounds a little bit weird, it's normal. It's just them being crazy together. All right, St. Louis. Jimmy Snuggerud, Dalibor Zborski, Otto Stamberg, Zachary Bolduc. I said that a little weird. Theo Lindstein, Zach Dean, Jiří Perkachik, Paul Fisher, Michael Butchinger. All right. So, yeah, I think defense is the way to go. And that's good because there's two good defensemen. Like, there are other defensemen that maybe are a bit more... okay, how do you say that? That needs a little bit more work. Like, a player like Charlie Illick, you know what you're getting. He's not a player that's going to be an offensive dynamo. He's capable to have a good first pass. He skates really well. He's mean. He's just a mean guy. He wants to hit everything. Again, I was watching the U18 yesterday, and like there was no reason for him to just go there, but he went backward into a guy just to destroy him along the board. It's just the way he is. That's the way he plays, but he's big, he's strong, and he skates really well. So it could be that. He's a left shot, if I'm not mistaken. Left shot, right shot? Not sure. I have a doubt. He's a right shot, so that's even better. And Adam Jiricek is a right shot too, 6'2", same thing. The thing is, I think Adam Jiricek definitely has more potential as a two-way defenseman. It's just we've seen so little of his game because he's been injured and he wasn't great when he was playing against men in Czechia. But he was good at the junior level. On the other side, Charlie Illick is a very toolsy defenseman. He's big. He skates well. He's very aggressive defensively. But you know that the potential offensively, it's not high. I see him a little bit like Sammy Wilson from Buffalo. That's how I see Charlie Illick as his ceiling, let's say. And that's a really good pick. You want that type of player in your top four. That's the type of guy that will help you when you get to the playoff, definitely. But I think Adam Jiricek can be that with a little bit less physicality, but maybe a little bit more offense if it comes back to him at some point. But definitely at the junior level, Adam Jiricek could do things that Charlie Illick cannot do. So even though here he's number 30, Adam Jiricek, I'm going to put Adam Jiricek for... Are we talking about St. Louis? Okay, we're talking about St. Louis. So, St. Louis. Jiricek. That's good, man. That would be very good because they have a good prospect pool up front with Jimmy Snuggerud and Dalibor Dvorsky did really good. And that's an example. I was talking about what's the name of the guy that I said team's not gonna be happy? It's Michael Brandsegg-Nygaard. Like, he has better stats than Dvorsky had. Like, it's not, when you look at the player, obviously Dvorsky is the more talented player, and we've seen Dvorsky play, and we knew he was going to be like a top 10. He was even at some point ranked top 5 before the draft season. We knew he was going to be a special player, and he didn't happen to be a special player, but we knew he was like a top 10 candidate, right, for years, because he was good. He was playing above his years, like all his life. So not the same with Brandsegg-Nygaard, but his production in the Allsvenskans is even better, I think. I'm just gonna make sure I'm not saying too much. We're gonna go here and we're gonna write Mikael Brandsegg, double G, Brandsegg-Nygaard, and then we're gonna cheat a little bit. Gonna go here, and he had great playoff, as you can see, 10 points in 12 games. Gonna go draft eligible, apply premium filter. And then we're just going to do something, though. We're going to put 10 games here to filter out them. And then all-time season. And there you go. Now, point per game. Now let's find him. Brandsegg-Nygaard, number 13 ever. So he's better. He has a better production than Philip Forsberg had in his year. He has a better production than Dalibor Dvorsky had. Better production than Jesper Bratt. So overall, like, it's good. Better than William Karlsson, Andrei Burakovsky. So overall, the production is not bad. It's just not spectacular. But it's still better than two very, very good players like Philip Forsberg and Dalibor Dvorsky, who are pretty close in terms of production and point per game. So I know he's being sold as that two-way guy who works hard but doesn't provide much. But like, we can see that he's providing better. And in the playoff, he provides, 10 points in 12 games? Was that it? Or 8 points? If we click his name. Yeah, 10 points in 12 games against men. So I don't even know why I'm talking about him anymore. But he's on the older side. I think it's a great pick. I'm trying to justify the pick because I know that Buffalo is not going to be happy with that pick. But I think he's a perfect pick for them. So yeah, I think that is it. Obviously, there's a lot of players that could have been can be in that top 16. I think players like Liam Greentree, I have him in my top 16. I have Liam Greentree in the first half of the draft. The skating always worries me a little bit, but again, I was watching the U18 yesterday and he was making things happen. He was not like beating player with his skating, but he was using little steps, or little how you call that, stutter steps, to give himself just an inch, and then drop his shoulder and protect the puck and just place his body in front of the defender while cutting to the net or trying to make plays. Yes, he's not a great skater, but I'm not sure how much he needs to be a great skater. Some players need that. Trevor Connolly, he needs to be a great skater. There's no other way around it. He's a one-on-one type of guy, and even though he competes hard, even though he cuts to the net all the time, and he's very middle-driven or net-driven, like, to play the way that he plays, he needs the speed. Liam Greentree doesn't have speed, and he made a game around it, and he's been extremely effective. And so guys like that, like Connolly or like Greentree, they deserve to be in the top 16. So they just didn't make it. Even Igor Chernyshev, like, there's no way for me Igor Chernyshev is not a first half of the first round type of player. But look, he's not. I couldn't put him there. I think the teams, I think it was great. Like Ottawa, Celebrini, Montreal, Demidov at number 2, San Jose, Levshunov, Chicago, Lindstrom, Anaheim, Perek, Columbus, Hellenius, didn't put an S here, Utah, Dickinson, Seattle, Silayev, Calgary, Iginla, New Jersey, Iserman, Buffalo, Brunson Nygaard, Philadelphia, Yakimchuk, Minnesota, Buyam, San Jose, Catton, Detroit, Beckett, Seneca, and St. Louis, Jiricek. I think overall it makes a lot of sense. The only one that I'm not the biggest fan of is Perek at Anaheim, because they already have so much offensive talent, but I feel like they're so, like, they're loaded. Their rebuild is basically, like, it's not finished because they're at the bottom of the NHL, right? So obviously it's not finished, but they've done so well with drafting, and they've done so well with trading, that they're stacked everywhere. The only thing they need is a defenseman on the right side to be paired with Mintyukov or something like that, and there's nothing left. Like, you're not gonna take you're not gonna take a player like Jiricek or a player like Elik in the top 5. Doesn't make sense. So if Levshunov is gone, what are you gonna do? I think Perek. Worst case, man, you take Perek becomes the best player. You take Olin Zellweger and you trade him for a more defensively gifted player, and you just rearrange your defense that way. So yeah, I think overall it all makes sense. It's just I'm not the biggest fan of the Perek selection for Anaheim, because I wish they could have Levshunov. It would really round out that rebuild like perfectly, but it's not the case, so live with it. Montreal got Demidov, so that's all I wanted. I tricked this whole thing. Alright, so that is it. I hope you enjoy. I hope it was not a little like too all over the place, because I decided to just, like, just do it on the spot with no preparation, with just a couple web pages open to help me go through this. So I hope you enjoyed it like that. So, because if I do things like that, I can make more. Because if I need to prepare everything, obviously it's a lot of work. With the videos, the website that I'm already so behind in putting article on it, and then the podcast, like, if I can do stuff without preparing myself too much, then it really, really helps me putting content out. And if it's enjoyable for you, then it's enjoyable for me. So that's all I have to say on this. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for not watching, but for listening. See you in the next one. Peace.